Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, formerly Charting Toward Intimacy, covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. If you want the best chance of ensuring that your kids have a healthy relationship with sex, you need a healthy relationship with sex. Welcome to Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, the podcast for Catholic women that helps you improve your sex life, strengthen your marriage, and embrace God's design for love. My name is Ellen Holloway, and joining me today is my semi-regular co-host, Kathleen Chovanes. How do we talk to our kids about sex? How do we bring them up in a healthy relationship with sex? Because most of us, I feel like if you're listening to this podcast, you probably would agree that you were not brought up with a healthy understanding of sex and that you're trying to untangle that now as an adult. And let's just caveat this with our kids are still growing up.
Yeah.
Kathleen's oldest is 13.
About to be
13. My oldest is 6. So, this is what we're doing. This is what, and take it or leave it, right? We're just sharing how we're approaching this with our kids and things that we feel like have been working well. Maybe things that we're like, oh, I still need to work on that. And things that we just want to kind of alert you to being aware of, noticing with yourself and seeing how you can, change the way that you're reacting, manage the way that you're reacting to certain things that you see. And how some of those reactions that you have, especially if they feel like very sudden, immediate reactions, like they're probably from how you grew up around or around the topic, right? How it was talked about in your house or not talked about.
Yeah. And this has been an area that I've really had to challenge myself. And I've actually really had to take a lot of cues from my husband, who grew up with a very different sort of experience around learning and his knowledge about sex and all of that stuff. It was very much normalized, right, in his house. Not in like a weird way where his parents were like super sex positive or anything like that. It just wasn't, it just was like a thing of life, It wasn't anything that had to be hidden. Whereas my experience growing up was very different. And so it wasn't really talked about. My parents were divorced, right? So it's not something that was happening in my house even. I've really had to just challenge my own instincts, right? The instincts that I have on how to talk to my kids and what to say and what to do in certain situations, like they're not good instincts, right? Like they're disordered instincts. And so I've really just had to challenge. And I think that I've gotten to a place where I feel confident in our approach. And I'm super grateful for that. And I love that. But it's funny because I have friends who, again, Catholic or non-Catholic, maybe just like Christian or whatever, but friends who are struggling to figure out as their kids are getting older. They asked this question, like, what do I do? And it's like the first thing that I think has to become just like a part of your routine is that first of all, we need to drop that fear of like when our kids bring something up regarding sex or the body or periods or like, right, like anything, we kind of like freeze, like, oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared for this. But the thing is, about it, like, what it is. So you are prepared for it. You may not have like sat down and rehearsed a script of what to say to them, but you don't have to do that. All we need to do is keep it simple, right? Yeah. We need to be matter of fact. We can use biology and just science. I feel like the temptation is to freeze in the moment and push it off until later, right? Like, we'll talk about this later. But that's almost like the opposite of what you want to do, right? It's just, you want to just go with it, right? And maybe, situations can always be different. Maybe there is a time where it's not the best time to talk about it. There have been some
opportunities where my daughter has asked we're like at a party or something. And I'm like, I will tell you when we get home. Like,
it's like, you know what? Great question. I would love to talk about this. Yeah. Let's just do it at home. Yeah. Yeah. Like that might happen. Okay. Yeah. That's a great time to.
Let's rewind just a bit before we get into really like how to talk to your kids about sex. I want to talk about the most important thing that you can do to make sure that your kids, to ensure that your kids have the best chance at having a healthy relationship with sex. And I can guarantee that this is the most important thing that you can do. And I know that sounds a little weird because I only have a 6-year-old, but I know for sure that if you want the best chance of ensuring that your kids have a healthy relationship with sex, you need a healthy relationship with sex.
100%. Yeah.
Your relationship with sex needs to be healthy, which is really ultimately what Kathleen was talking about with like that fear. You know, we don't want to have that fear response or things like that. But the temptation, and this came up for actually a couple of ladies in my current cohort of Want It and Enjoy It. A couple of them were, it was just so funny. It wasn't just one. It was like a couple ladies were like emailing me and saying, wow, this information is so good. I can't wait to share it with my daughter. And she's growing up. And I'm just taking all of this and just like figuring out how to, you know, modify it and tell it to her. And I'm like, okay, that is a great intention. But if you are simply taking the information and like funneling it through you, but not actually letting the information stop on you and change your heart and change how you react with sex and change your relationship with sex and heal these twisted up, these disordered understandings of the meanings of sex and pleasure and orgasm and arousal and all of those things. If we're not actually letting the information sit with us and doing the hard work, because it's hard work. It is so much easier to just let it like flow right through us and then go teach it.
Yeah.
If we're not stopping and doing the hard work, then essentially we're kind of being a hypocrite. And I'm not trying to like be rude or anything like that, but that is what we're doing, right? If we're trying to teach our sons or daughters to have healthy relationships with sex and we're still majorly struggling with sex, still really sex averse, or just like hating it, or it feels like a checkbox, but we're like, no, sex is really good. Like that's going to come off subconsciously in the way that you talk about sex.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel genuine when you're talking to your teenage daughter of like, hey, this is a beautiful gift that marriages have, and that's why we save sex for marriage, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. If you really don't truly believe that it is a beautiful, enjoyable, pleasurable gift, and that sex is in fact better when it's done in a marriage, and that it's in fact more pleasurable and more enjoyable when you do it with a spouse that is covenantally bound to you, whom you will continue to learn and grow for the rest of your lives in having better and better sex. If you don't truly believe that in your core, but you try to explain that to your 14-year-old daughter who has a boyfriend, I'm sorry, it's not going to come off. It's not. Like, she's going to then go to her friends and be like, my mom is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's true because sincerity is often the best teacher, right? It's like raising your kids in the faith when you don't really believe the faith. You're doing it because you promised to do it at your wedding, right? But you don't actually believe it yourself. Yeah, that's only going to go so far, right? Because your example means more often than the words you use to teach something.
Yeah. Well, and there's like studies on children actually like staying with the faith of their parents, and the biggest indicator was that they saw their parents praying. Like, that was the biggest indicator, right? So it wasn't what they taught us. It wasn't going to church as a family. It wasn't even family prayer time. It was seeing your parents pray and or like knowing that they're praying.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's actually something like my kids, they know. Like I have a prayer like bag that has, it's really cute. It's from the Little Rose Shop. But it's just like this bag where I can kind of put like the books, the spiritual books that I'm kind of like reading, and my Bible's in there, or one of my Bibles is in there, and like a notebook's in there, right? And that's like over near where I like pray in the morning, and they know it's my prayer spot. Like, and I'm praying before they wake up, but they know that that's a part of my life and that I'm doing that, right? Yeah. And so that is in a way, right, we never want our children to see us having sex, but we want them to have the understanding that this is something that we do and that it is very good and is very healthy. And obviously, like, maybe not the young kids, but like the older kids, they should know that mom and dad have sex. And if that feels uncomfortable to you, like, that's just an indication of something to work on and to heal, right? If it feels uncomfortable that your kids should know that you're having sex, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Because that still does feel a little uncomfortable for me, to be honest. But
no, absolutely. Absolutely. No,
right?
100%.
It's like, ooh,
that's like,
do I really want my 14-year-old daughter knowing that? Like,
yeah. And like, your kids probably don't want to know that either. So
I know, right? But like truly, because sex used to be, I have a friend who I can't even remember what like culture he's from. This is embarrassing. General European culture.
Yeah.
He was talking about how what was culturally appropriate, like particularly for his mom, like when his mom got married, the mother-in-law took the sheets from the bed, marriage bed, right? That were bloody, and hung them out the window.
Oh my gosh.
That was culturally appropriate. That's what you did. That was a celebration of the marriage.
That's so funny.
What?
Wow.
Like, sex is supposed to be something, yes, like, it is a private affair. And John Paul II talks a lot about how shame actually has this twofold, there's these two assets to shame. And there's a negative asset to shame, but there's also a positive asset to shame. Shame keeps us from doing something inappropriate with the act, right? It is rightly ordered to feel shame if you were to imagine you and your husband having sex in the middle of your street, where all your neighbors could see. It is appropriate for that to feel shameful because sex is a private event.
Right.
The act, right? But it was never supposed to be private that it happens. Right? And that's just, I think that's something interesting to consider. Not that you need to start, like, I don't know, taking your...
Announcing it.
Right. Taking your daughter's bed sheets. Or your daughter-in-law. It was the mother-in-law that would do it. Like, it was the husband's mom that would do it.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was at her house, actually.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Sense. Yeah, but like, I think that's a really good point that, like, I mean, we've kind of gotten to this place now, and it took me a long time to get here, but we've gotten to this place now where, you know, I had to realize, like, the end of the day is not always the best time because I am tired, right?
True.
Like, I have the best intentions during the day, and then by the time evening comes, I'm just like, I can't do anything else. So I've started prioritizing, you know, sex more in the middle of the day, like after my husband gets home from work or something like that. And it took me, like I said, a long time to get there because we have kids in the house, right? Like, they're all like, they all like walk in our room without knocking when they're supposed to knock, you know, like all the things. Now we lock, I mean, we've always locked the door, right? But we lock the door. And if they try to come in or they call for us outside the door, it's just like, hold on, like, we're just having time together. Like, let us just have time together. And half the time we're like right in the middle of the sex. It's like, hold on, hold on. But we don't say anything more than that.
Right. And you don't need to.
There's going to be a time.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out.
But there's going to be a time where they're going to figure it out. Right?
Your 13-year-old is not, she's sharp. She's sharp, okay? She's
yeah. She's always... She's the one who doesn't bother, and I think she probably because she might know why.
Yeah.
But right. But again, like, it's okay to just let them see you prioritizing time alone, and you don't have to say anything more than that. They're gonna figure it out eventually in time, and that's okay.
And
it's a good, healthy. And again, this is like the pot calling the kettle black. If you're like scandalized and like clutching your pearls at the thought of this, like, I was there, okay, like, I have been there, and it's really just taken time and this healing of your views and your perspective on sex to get here. I would say it's like, if we want our kids to have a right relationship with anything, right? Hiding it cannot be the approach. Like
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, don't let them find out about it, right? Like
I was just
it's
thinking
the same
about
thing with
alcohol.
like alcohol.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
literally the exact same thing. Yes. My kids, since the time they were able to understand that like there are drinks they can't have, right? There are adult drinks and kids drinks or whatever. If they ask like, what does it taste like? It's like, here, you want a sip? Like taste it. And maybe they're 5, maybe they're 6. Like, I don't care. They're not
You know
getting
what the
drunk
problem
off
with
of a
that
sip.
is my 4-year-old loves wine.
I mean, true. That has happened to me in the past. But I will say that because they're not drinking it frequently enough, as they age, mine have gotten like more disgusted by it.
Oh,
like it's like as like littles, like right, like little like toddlers or something, and they're
part
just
of
like, oh yeah.
Part of my problem is my father-in-law is a retired winemaker. So he also taught them how to do the like thing where you bring like, so it's fun, and then how to spit, like, and just how you would like actually taste wine like a winemaker. So I think it's actually maybe more the just excitement and fun.
I mean, that makes sense too. But that's the whole point, right? Like if you don't want your kid to go off to college and binge drink, you need to normalize alcohol. Yeah. Right? Like you need to teach them that, yeah, this is something that's good, but it's best enjoyed in moderation. And here, you're 10 years old and you want half a glass of beer, half a glass of wine at dinner. Go ahead. Like, you can have that, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I remember my mom talked about how even at 4 or 5 years old, at Christmas and Easter, the kids, they had these little tiny glasses. They were probably only about an ounce or two large. Like they were like a shot glass, basically. But they would get a glass of wine at Christmas and Easter. And I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had some friends who we met them right as their kids had like right after their kids had left for college. And we met them and they were talking about how in the years leading up to their kids going away for college, they introduced them to extremely good hard liquor and extremely good alcohol. And so then their kids go to college and they're like, this stuff sucks. Like, why are we drinking this?
That's so funny.
But I mean, okay, but think about in the years leading up to your children becoming of age for sex, in the years leading up to puberty, you introduce them to, not in a experiential way, but in a conversational way, you introduce them to the utter joy and beauty and fulfillment and unity that exists in a healthy, ordered sexual relationship between a covenantal marriage, aka your husband, you and your husband's sex life, right? They're going to get to college and be like, what are you all doing?
Yeah.
Or high school, you know, and they're like, what are you guys doing? This,
no,
I want what my parents have. Like, that's, that looks fun. That looks enjoyable. That looks pleasurable. That looks safe. I don't want this. You know, like, that's the reaction I want my children to have. Me in high school, I had the like, oh, sex is bad. It's dirty. I'm scared of it. That's why I avoided sex in high school. Yeah. But I would so much rather my children be like, what? Why? Why would you have this outside of marriage? That's not what my parents
exactly
have,
right. And I think too that just in your openness to be conversational and not hide things and not treat things as like just like off limits, right? But in treating it as normal, your kids, they'll also come to you more. Yeah. Right? Like, and this is something I'm learning even now, and not necessarily about sex, right? But I mean, again, my oldest is about to be 13.
I cannot believe
like
you.
I know.
Almost
I know.
Teenager?
Me either. Yeah. You know, she's like going through puberty, and just I have to whisper because if she hears me saying that on a podcast, she'll like lose her mind. But you know, but like just all of the things, like she's got her period, she's like developing little breasts, like, and she's just like growing into a woman's body, and she's beautiful, right? I'm biased, but she's truly beautiful.
I think she's beautiful.
We were out. Thank you. Yeah. No, we were out at a baseball game, like with school and stuff, like just this past week, and she got hit on for the first time. Oh. And she came to me. I mean, it was just like, hey, my friend's too shy, but he wants your number, you know? And she was with her other friend, and Maggie just thought it was hilarious. And she said, what did she say? Oh, she said, we don't have numbers because they don't have cell phones yet.
Oh my gosh.
Which, first of all, is just hysterical. But anyway, secondly, then she came and she when we saw each other again, she was laughing about it with me. Like, she told me, she was just like, oh my gosh, there were these guys and they blah, blah, whereas her friend was like, oh my gosh, don't tell my mom. Don't tell my mom that happened. Like, all of these little things, right? Like, we know it's not, I mean, it might feel like a big deal because your baby's growing up and boys are starting to notice her, right? That feels like a big deal. I get it. But it's also normal and natural. And we have to treat these things as such if we want them to continue trusting us with their experiences. Right. And I think that sex is the exact same thing. We just have to normalize it. We have to not treat it as something that should be hidden until a certain point in our lives, right? Because then that's where we all know, right? Like, so many of us who grew up in purity culture, we know
how that didn't work.
That didn't work. Yeah. My 6-year-old literally just introduced a boy, our neighbor, his friend, to the word labia, which, okay, not ideal, right? Not ideal. And the mom came to me and was like,
we're perfect here, okay?
Right? But the point is, I had to explain to the mom when she was like, Levi introduced him to the word labia? Like, where's he getting that from? I was like, he's getting it from home, right? Like, not that I'm talking to him about labia. He has no need to know about labia at 6 years old, right? But he hears me talk to his sisters, right? And his girl cousins, like, know the word, right? And so it's just the body is not something that's being hidden in the home. And while you're going to probably have these situations, right, where it's like, oh, shoot.
There's going to be some weird ones, okay?
They just happen, right? But in the long term, right, like, they're going to have such a healthy view of the body. They're going to know about it. They're going to know what it is, what it's for, what it does. They're going to have this healthy view of sex if we just keep these things as appropriate conversation topics in the household, right?
Right. And it all starts with you. And this harkens back to communication about sex with your husband. If you are not at a point where you're regularly, comfortably talking about sex with your husband and working to improve it, then it's going to be really hard to comfortably talk about it with your kids as well. And so I want to kind of go back to what I said at the beginning is the most important thing here is not what you say to your kids. It is your own relationship and experience of sex. And if your relationship and experience of sex is positive, that will emanate. It will be clear no matter what you say to your kids. It will be clear that you have a healthy sex life. If sex is a checkbox and if intimacy is hard and if you've got kind of that cringe whenever your husband is coming to touch you, your kids see that. And this isn't to shame you or make you doom spiral into, oh my gosh, I'm ruining my kids. I just want to really encourage you that it is absolutely worth the work for yourself. Like, please come join the next cohort of Want It and Enjoy It. Like, this is how you're going to teach your kids to have a healthy sex life, is if you are having a healthy sex life. Like, this work for you. Yeah. And so, like, let's just go over just basic ideas for talking to your kids about sex. Is one, this is not one conversation. And I hope that's been clear from what Kathleen and I have been talking about. Like, this is a regular trickle conversation. Like, just think of it as a trickle. And so the 6-year-old asks a question. Answer the question. You don't need to go further into it, right? They're 6. You got a lot of time, friend. Lots of time. And keep it simple. So your 6-year-old asks, or let's even go back in time. This is Ellen's experience. You know, your like 3 to 4-year-old walks into the bathroom because we have more or less an open door policy in our house.
Yep.
While you're on your period. And it's like, oh my gosh, Mom.
All the time.
What's wrong? And it's like, moms bleed once a month and it's actually really healthy and is totally normal and mom's not hurt. That's what happens. Like that. And this will happen to you eventually. Not anytime soon. You don't have to worry about it. And this is just normal, right? And like that was it. It wasn't like, let me talk to you about the cycle because you're 4 years old. You know, like we don't have to think about like, think about it this way. Answer the question that has been asked.
Yeah.
Don't answer any more. And I would say like, go with that for like anything under 8. Like just answer the question. My brother looks different than me. Oh yeah. Well, boys have penises and girls have vaginas. Done. No more is needed unless they ask another question. But it's like we don't have to go too deep into answering it at really young ages. But it's just like answer the question, done. And there are plenty of opportunities for those questions to be asked. Like now, again, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of an open door policy for having opportunities for those questions to be asked.
It's so true.
Because I've talked about breasts with my kids and why mine look different and why mine are particularly saggy.
Yup, we all have that.
But I mean, if you don't have an open door policy, that's fine. You're probably still like seeing your kids naked. Like they might not be seeing you naked, but you're probably helping them change and things like that. If they're not asking, if there's no asking, right? You can even just, as you're helping, your 4-year-old change his underwear, of just like, oh, have you noticed that you have a penis? That's actually different than what mommy has, because mommy has a girl body and girl bodies have something called a vagina. And that's like, you do not have to go any further, right? So there are ways to also just kind of bring it up.
You know what else I'll say too is that as you're like, again, in those moments where you're helping them bathe or changing them or dressing them or whatever, not even like getting down into like the nitty gritty, right, of biology and stuff, but always saying to them, look at your good little body.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's something we've always tried to do, is just remind them constantly from the time they are small, that their body is so good, right? And so it's just like, look at it. I mean, my husband like does it to Josie all the time, who's like 3, right? But like, it's so cute because her body is like so flipping cute. It's just like,
you are obsessed he always does that with Josie. It's so adorable.
She's my little sidekick. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, but it is just like, he's always like, oh, look at your good, cute little body, And it's just like this sort of like visceral thing, but it is just like telling them how good
I love that.
Yeah, is very, very good. The other thing I wanted to mention is that if you are having a hard time approaching this topic and you really just don't feel confident in the words to say or to use, I have used a great Christian book series that's called God's Design for Sex. And it's great. It's 4 books, and each book is just age-based, right? So the first book is ages like 3 to 5. The second book is like 6 to 8. And then, like 9 to 12, and then 13 and up or something like that, right? They're great. They're just, each book gets a little more in depth, a little more age appropriate, right? It's been a really good conversation starter for like how to start talking about these things and what to start saying. I have recommended them to people. I have lent them out to people and had to rebuy them multiple times, right? Like, they're really, really good. So maybe Ellen can add it into the show notes.
That's like holy sex for me. Whenever I let that one out, I don't get it back. I've rebought it.
Exactly.
Times.
Yeah. You're just like, I just constantly have to rebuying them, which is fine. But it's a whole series. And so you can buy them all at once. You could just buy them one at a time as you need them. But I think they're really good conversation starters for your kids, regardless of their age, right? You just buy the book that's most appropriate for their age. And it's been a great, easy way to ease into the topic for us.
The other thing I wanted to mention, so we talked about kind of like that under 8 is just answer the questions that they have, right? Let it come naturally. And having resources like that, like bringing that book in and having just like a hey, let's read a book together and have a cozy chat, and like, let's make some tea, or let's make some hot chocolate, or it's Christmas, have a glass of wine. No, I'm just kidding. And once we get a little bit older, one of the easiest things that we can do is we can let puberty guide the conversation. So as things start to change with your son or daughter's body, is just mentioning that those things are changing, talking to them about it, offering, hey, if you've got any questions, I am happy to answer them. Or even saying like, hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about your body and what some of the changes that are coming up, right? But it does, like, please don't make it the like, let's sit down and talk about body, right? But it's like, oh, hey, 11, 12-year-old boy, have you noticed that you smell? Because you do.
They don't.
No,
I'll tell you right now.
They don't notice that they smell.
As a woman with an 11-year-old boy, they don't notice that they smell.
Right.
And you need to remind them daily
we
to
can
put
be
on
like,
deodorant.
hey, let's go get you some deodorant. And like, hey, let's take a trip together to go to Target and get some deodorant. And maybe this is a better conversation for dad to have. But if your husband isn't willing to have that conversation, it's okay. You can have the conversation too with your son of just like, hey, let's go to Target and get some deodorant, and then let's go get smoothies after. And that can just be a great opportunity to be like, hey, you're needing deodorant right now. That means you're growing, blah, blah, blah. Like, and just, again, like comfortably talking about these changes are happening. You're growing. This is you changing from like a child's body into a man's body. And that comes with some other things. And just having that be the natural guide to the conversation. And then, to be honest, once we get around 13, especially if your kids are not homeschooled, and this is not anything against the schooling choices of your kids, but if your kids are not homeschooled and they're regularly around lots of other kids, once you get to about 12 or 13, you really ought to start talking about sex. Truly, hey, this is something that happens. This is, and this mom and dad have it, and blah, blah, blah. Right. If you homeschool, you might have a couple more years to wait. But again, if they're in activities, they're around other kids, they're getting it from outside the house. And so we want to make sure that we're having those good, healthy conversations in the house. And so their base is good and healthy. And so then when it gets brought up, when they go to a birthday party at 14 and some of the girls are talking about their crushes or maybe their current relationships, right, at 14, then your son or daughter can just be like, that sounds awful. Like, why would you even want that? Like, no, definitely going to save that for marriage.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I want my child to have like a disgusted, like, why?
That's basically where Maggie is. Yeah. It's pretty funny, actually.
Not disgusted by sex, but just disgusted by people having it before marriage. Like, of just like, that doesn't make sense.
That's true. That's a good way to put it, is that like, it doesn't make sense. You don't want that to make sense to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want the view that was intended by God to be what makes sense. And that's only going to happen if you talk to them about it, because otherwise they're getting it from their friends, and that's the whole worldly perspective on sex, right? And that's what we don't want them sort of soaking in.
And this episode's getting a little long, but I got one more kind of category. Like, if you've got an older child who is maybe older high school or maybe even in college now, and you're like, I haven't talked about any of these things. Hopefully you've made it to the end of this episode and you can have this little tidbit. But I picked this up from actually some of my students who are in Want It and Enjoy It. And I just think that this is a phenomenal way to approach it with your older children. Pick a TV show that is popular right now. Maybe not one of the really bad ones. Like, don't do Bridgerton or like Outlander
Euphoria.
or like, don't do like the actual soft porn ones. But like, pick a popular TV show, watch it together, and talk about it. Like, whoa, that's a super unhealthy view of sex. Did you know that it's actually not like that? It's actually way better than that. Mom and dad have sex that's way better than that situation. And like, wow, man, she was really hurt by that relationship ending. Part of why she was really hurt is because they had sex, and sex is for marriage, and it doesn't make sense in a non-marital relationship. And it can really hurt when sex is part of a relationship that isn't permanent, that a relationship that just falls apart quickly. And, and like, sit down and maybe that TV show is going to be uncomfortable for you to watch because it's so outrageous, the sexual relationships that are happening in these TV shows.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a really, really good way to bridge the subject, is just like meeting her or him where they're at. Like, what are they watching? What are the popular TV shows? What are and if you don't know, just Google it or chat GPT it. Like, hey, I've got an 18-year-old daughter. Like, what are the popular TV shows that 18-year-olds are watching? And like, what streaming services are they? And like, spend the $20, sign up for the streaming service. It is worth the health of your child's future sex life. Or the other thing that you can do, watch the shows that either your children are watching or you think they might be watching, right? And then next time you call them, be like, hey, so I watched this show. Have you heard of it? Like, have you watched it? I really thought XYZ part was really interesting. And these characters had a cool relationship, right? Like, start from the good of the show and then like get into a further conversation. Like, but I also noticed like all of this on the show. And it was just like, oh, I'm just so sad for those people who are experiencing sex outside of marriage. It's just like, it's so unfulfilling and it's not as lovely and unitive. And you know, hey, I don't know. I need a name.
Yeah.
Hey, Susan, like, I know we haven't really talked about sex that much, but I just like, it actually really hurt to like watch that because your dad and I know this may be a little awkward, Susan, but like your dad and I have such a great sex life. And we just like within marriage, like sex is just so good and so beautiful, right? You could just like rip the Band-Aid off and talk to your 18-year-old daughter about sex. And like it will blow her mind in a really good way, I think. So that's what I just want to encourage you.
Maybe also make her uncomfortable, but that's
maybe,
okay. They
yeah.
need that.
I mean, if you
they
have
need that sometimes.
Maybe, but I think that's okay. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's fine. She'll be old enough. It's age appropriate.
Right. It's age appropriate, right? At that point, it's totally age appropriate. Then we can really start getting into some of the stuff. And then if you've got a daughter who's like preparing for marriage, this is the time. You talk to her about your sex life or sign her up for Want It and Enjoy It and say, hey, I want you to have a really good sex life. You're going to join the next cohort of Want It and Enjoy It and you're going to love it. Like,
that's funny.
And just like, just support her. And again, if you have a daughter who's engaged right now, preparing for marriage, newlywed or whatever, buy her lingerie. Like, do it. Be the cool mom. Thanks so much for listening. If you have ever gotten any value from this podcast, could you do me a favor really quick? Go into the podcast app that you are listening in. And if it gives you an option to rate and review, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us so much in reaching new listeners and spreading the word about this podcast. Thanks so much for listening.